Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's B. Charnay here. Today we're going to be discussing my ectopic pregnancy. As most of you know, October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. So I'll give you my story. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background before I get into the ectopic pregnancy. So it's about an 8-month timeline. January of 2019 I had my second daughter. And when I went back in for my 6-week follow-up to make sure that everything was okay, it was my first C-section. Went back in for my 6-week follow-up, and that's when my OB told me that during pregnancy my pap smear was abnormal, and we were gonna have to repeat the pap, and if that was abnormal, then we'd do further testing. So they called me about a week later and told me that my pap smear was abnormal again. So they scheduled me for an in-office colposcopy where they go in and they scrape some of the cells off the cervix. It's like a little clip. It's like they go and they clip a piece of the cervix off, and they ship it to the lab, and they'll tell them pretty much what's going on. So they called me back again a week later and told me that I was at like stage 3 and that I would need to have surgery to cold knife cone biopsy. So they go in, they remove the middle of your cervix, and then they sew it back up. They did that. I followed up, I believe, 2 weeks later, and then after that I had to have a 1-month pap, a 3-month pap, and a 6-month pap smear. So fast forward to September. I got my period around the 6th of September, and after a week my period still hadn't gone away. And then another week went by, so I was on my period for 2 weeks. I called my doctor and I was like, hey, I've been on my period for 2 weeks. I'm not really sure what's going on, and I wanted to schedule an appointment to come in. So I went in for my appointment. They checked my cervix. They said everything looked fine, and my doctor thought that maybe it was something hormonal, so he put me on estrogen, the hormone estrogen. So I was taking that once a day. And then a week went by, I was still on my period, so now 3 weeks on my period. And so into the 4th week, I was at work one night. I was doing a sitter shift, and around 2 in the morning I started having strong abdominal pains, but just on the left side. So I went on my lunch break and I checked myself into the emergency room. I got there, they asked me if I was having any urinary issues, and I told them no, but they still took a urine sample. I sat out in the waiting room for about 20 minutes, and they pulled me to the back and told me that I was pregnant. My pregnancy test was positive, and then they transferred me over to the Women and Children's Hospital. I got over there, one of the nurse practitioners came and spoke with me and told me that, hey, you know, you've been bleeding for 3 weeks, it's probably not a viable pregnancy, so don't get too excited. So from there, more nurses came in, they did blood work, they sent the sonographer over, I got an ultrasound done, and that's when they saw that it was an ectopic pregnancy. Baby was in my fallopian tube. They gave me 2 options. They told me that I could take methotrexate to end the pregnancy, or I could just see if it would pass on its own. So I opted for the latter. I went home. That was Friday into Saturday morning. So they told me to follow up in 48 hours to check my levels to see if they had gone down or gone up or what was going on. So I was coming back on Monday morning. So I leave there, I come home, and I tell my husband, we're pregnant, but it may not be a viable pregnancy. I left there around 6 a.m. So him and the girls were still sleeping when I got here. So we talked about it, and I cried about it, and Monday morning we were back at the hospital. I checked in on the antepartum floor, the antepartum ED. It's like an emergency room for people that are still pregnant. I got there, they did another ultrasound and seen that my fallopian tube had grown in some millimeters over the weekend. My levels had gone down, so they paged my doctor. He comes up there and he is furious. He wants to know why nobody paged him on Saturday, because my fallopian tube is to the point where it's getting ready to rupture. So I'm rushed into emergency surgery to get a D&C. They dress me, I go down to surgery, and when I wake up, they tell me that they could not save my tube, so they had to remove the fallopian tube and the ovary on the left side. That for me was devastating, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't have any more kids. They removed my ovaries, they removed my tube. Like, what am I supposed to do? Because I've always wanted a lot of kids. And then they told me that once you have one ectopic pregnancy, the chance of you having another is very high. So that was another thing that was devastating to me. And then I had just lost a baby that I knew nothing about, that I couldn't even get excited about. Because when I found out, they told me, oh, don't get excited because, you know, it doesn't look viable. So it was, for me, it was very depressing, my ectopic pregnancy. So for me, 2.5 months later, I got my rainbow after the storm. I became pregnant with my son, my rainbow baby, Denzel Jr. I had him September 1st of 2020, and I couldn't be more ecstatic about it. Yes, baby. You want a hug? Okay, come on. The baby wants a hug. Yeah. Yeah. You say hi? Hi? Alright, well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. So bye-bye. Bye-bye.